Today on Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
I want rich conversations with people that love ideas and they love creativity, and that inspires me so greatly.
Now I'm getting really excited. Okay, this is the part where I'm going to get loud.
Holy crap, here we go.
I like telling stories.
I learn best through experiences.
Everything I do is because of everything I did.
Talk about having maximum impact while having a ton of fun.
When you can net through that, what you do leave behind for your listener will have more impact.
Wow, bring it on.
It's time to take an inside look at those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Hey, Thrive Loud fans, Lou Diamond here. Hope you're doing wonderfully. We have reached Thanksgiving of 2018. It is a big holiday week in the United States, and many people around the world celebrate it as well. And obviously, it is the season of gratitude and giving thanks. So, me personally, I would love to thank all of the listeners who come to the show and listen and hear these amazing guests that we have on this program. My whole team that has contributed to making the show what it is and building it up. And I really want to thank the incredible guests that have come on the program. They really have taken the time, shared their incredible message, and have done a great job as well, being some of the biggest promoters of this show to make Thrive Loud as successful as it has become. And we continue to be one of the top business podcast shows, so I am thankful for that, and I hope you continue to listen and enjoy these amazing guests that we have on. Today is no exception. You are going to love this interview with Sue Bryce. Sue, who is an amazing photographer and has been successful within her space and has been known for her photography, is also one heck of an entrepreneur and businesswoman. I think you're going to really enjoy her story, her journey, her passion, and the way that she continues to thrive loud each and every day. So sit back, relax, enjoy this great episode with Sue Bryce. Hopefully you're not stuck in too much traffic, or you're going to be enjoying a great meal here on Thanksgiving. And from all of us at the team at Thrive Loud, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Enjoy this episode with Sue Bryce. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have one of the most recognizable photographers in the imaging industry. Her glamour, fashion, and portrait style transcend past stereotypes and has changed the face of portrait photography. She has created her own groundbreaking educational platform in which she uses her signature techniques to educate photographers and empower businesses internationally. Born and raised in New Zealand, now lives and works in Los Angeles. She's in El Segundo. Who the hell knew this? We love Kiwis on this program. Thrive Loud fans, Sue Bryce. Sue, how are you today?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for asking me on.
Well, it was totally a pleasure. Our worlds, I feel like I'm becoming like the voice of the imagery between some of the photographers that have been in your workshops. But when they said to me that you need to have this amazing, unbelievable story of Sue Bryce on your program because what she's doing is game changing. And I started to look you up, hear more about you. We chatted briefly and I'm like, oh yeah, you're coming on the show. So if you could, Sue, give a little bit of background and bring a little bit of your history to date, because I actually think that will help paint the picture or get the lens ready. And then we'll snap the picture appropriately and take as many pictures throughout this interview as possible. That sound like a plan?
Sounds great.
Perfect.
I started out at 18. I got a camera and I started working as a retouching artist for a professional lab that serviced professional photographers. It didn't take long to work out that's what I wanted to do. So I started shooting part-time, working part-time. A studio picked me up by the time I was 20. I started to manage the studio. By 23, I was shooting full-time for them. And I just went through the first sort of 10 years of my career and thought it was a cool job. And I didn't get paid very well. It was a very creative job that I enjoyed. Around 30, I watched all of my friends start to buy houses. And I knew I could not do that. I was earning about $300 or $400 a week. And even though I was this creative artist and I had this great lifestyle, I wasn't thriving. I knew I had to go into business in order to make actual money and be sort of in pole position. So I turned 30 and I went out and I said, how hard can it be? And I did. And I started working from my garage in my country studio. And I realized very quickly I had no self-value, I had no product value, I had no service value, and I couldn't price myself. I went from someone else selling my work between $2,000 to $7,000 every time to not making $400 per client. And I realized pretty quickly I was not going to survive. In fact, I wasn't even going to launch. So I started to really go through the hardest lesson in any creative's life, and that is learning how to sell my work, price myself for profit, and then actually receive money, keep money, manage money, and keep it in my business for longevity. And the next 10 years were just extraordinary in terms of personal growth. So I built my business in the first year in my garage up to 500K, and then 700. We nearly hit 700 in turnover in our second year. Then we nearly got to $1 million in our third, just with 10 staff, including myself. And as I started to develop this business model and learn about money and value and service, I just started to up my average sale and really create something that was quite sustainable. And then I started to look at scaling that business and how was I going to grow? How was I going to make it bigger? Do I franchise? Do I open multiple sites around the world, or do I look at education? And I chose education.
So just want to rewind a little bit here. This is something that you said early on, that you didn't feel you had anything that really was for sale, so to speak. Was it that your skill wasn't there at that point, or you just hadn't packaged it?
My skill was there.
Right.
My skill set was outstanding. I had no sales value. I wasn't actually selling my work. When I worked for someone else, somebody else was selling my work. And I didn't even know that I couldn't sell my own work. I didn't know that I had blocks around money and receiving money. And I had guilt. I had this massive guilt that I would charge $2,000 for something. Now, when somebody else was taking the money, it was not a problem. But when I had to take it for myself, I almost couldn't do it. I couldn't speak my pricing out loud. I didn't value the product I was making. And it was incredible, and it was advanced, and it was masterful. But I just could not step into that value of putting myself out there. And then I was shy, introverted. I had all these things stacked up against me. Social anxiety, fear of pitching myself, putting my face on my own brand. I was like the most reluctant brand, and I was hiding from it. And I realized that I had to step into it in order to be more successful.
So in doing that, and by the way, one of the things that I work with people all the time with is moving through fear into courage. Yes. What was some of the triggers, or what did you do personally to recognize that this was something I needed to overcome? And what steps did you take to move through that hurdle for you?
Everything that we do in our early stage is about getting validation. We put ourselves out there online. We hear the feedback. We hear the trolls. We hear the criticism. We hear the positive feedback. We feel the love. The more feedback we get, the more we walk into it thinking that we're seeing that mirror of ourselves constantly. Am I good enough? Of course, you're not going to be good enough. There's always someone better than you. There's always somebody competing with you. There's always somebody out there creating the same product as you, better, stronger, faster than you. So you compare yourself constantly. You compare yourself online. You compare your folio. You compare, but you've forgotten to do the one thing that's going to get you paid, and that's give service, give product, connect to that client, ask them what they want. So I actually stopped making it about me. I realized I was the one getting in the way of getting paid. I was the one stopping people from paying me. All I had to do was look for the opportunities, find those opportunities, walk into them with the great service. So an energy of giving instead of receiving, and stop sort of expecting that other people are going to make you famous, or other people are going to make you rich, or other people are going to make you successful. We so often sit back and say, I'm so talented, somebody should discover me. and you're saying somebody should do this work for me. And you really have to go through the core work, like what I give is valuable, how I serve is valuable, how I connect is valuable. When I take myself out of the equation, it was only what can I do for you because you're the one paying. But when we start, we're like, please pay me. Please give me money. Please tell me I'm good enough. Please tell me I can make it. Please tell me I'm good enough to do this. And it's so about us.
So, by the way, beautiful. And then the fact that you're directing that onto making the focus about the client, it certainly, by the way, we don't even realize it. It alleviates that stress that holds you back, right? Because
it takes it away.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're asking them what they want and they tell you what they need. And then you match up to that service.
You educate them. You educate them to your product, your service, your price list, and then you deliver on what you promised. And, I always say it comes down to three things at this point. It comes down to the connection that you have with this person, getting them on the phone, not doing business over email or text or private message on Facebook. Get them on the phone, build a relationship with them, do a consultation with them in person. Relationship building is paramount. And then asking them, what do you want? How can I best serve you? What are your needs? And then delivering on every single one of them, but just really making it client focused, product focused. That takes the fear away from who you are, what you think you deserve, what you think about yourself, looking for validation, and simply giving and serving at full power. And it's very, very strong.
It
takes that
great.
fear back.
And now I'm going to, thank you for rewinding and sharing where that came from. And now as you've moved forward and you said the direction you wanted to go into to help expand the business was to help educate others, I'm imagining this is a little bit inside of you to try to give back to those in the photography community that might have been going through some of the same challenges as you did.
Okay, I'm going to say something that might be not controversial, but it'll get a chuckle, I'm sure. Yes, giving back is a huge part of living, right? Giving back to your friends, your family, your loved ones, the people around you, your clients, the community. But I wanted to create a bigger business model from the business model that I had. That's why I chose education. I looked at it like this. I couldn't scale my model because I was the main technician.
Right.
So I had to train 3 photographers to shoot like me, but they're never going to shoot like me because it's a creative process and it's very different. I can teach them to shoot similar, or I can teach them my style, but ultimately their stamp is their creative process. So I didn't think I could replicate multiple photographers. Could I franchise? No, that put me in the same boat. Around 2005, I started to see that online education was getting huge. And I was like, I'll take my business model to an online platform. And then I built an online platform with a subscription model with a closed circuit broadcast weekly to those people. And I could grow my platform to 10,000 subscribers in the first 2 years, which I did.
That's amazing and awesome. And
yeah.
So, and there was nothing funny about that. That was very clear and very straight to the point. You figured out, I got to grow the business and this is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
So here's the question that I've always found, because it is interesting. There is a difference between doing the craft that you do, which is very, like you said, you're the technician that delivers it. And then there's communicating the message that you deliver in helping to educate others. How has that transition been personally for you in moving from capturing the image and kind of almost taking the picture to helping others, for more lack of a better analogy here, help direct and create the scenery that they need to?
So here's something quite amazing. The photographers in my network don't really want to learn about photography. They're already finding their own voice in the world of photography and their creative sort of journey. Really, they're interested in how to make money and be sustainable in business, because as creatives, they spend 95% of their time developing a folio and not learning how to sell it. And then they have to start going through the personal value journey, and a lot of them really struggle with it. A lot of creatives struggle with pricing and selling. Yeah, full stop.
Yeah. The interesting thing, it's very funny. I just did this, and this is not just limited to those in photography. I will let you know that just about anybody where they are a sole proprietor or they are the main component of the business, when they have to put that price on themselves, it is very difficult.
Yeah, so solopreneurs especially should read the E-Myth, I believe, the revisited E-Myth, because, he talks a lot about being a technician and then being an entrepreneur and then being a solopreneur, just being a solo technician, where you are the technician that's creating the product and the service, but you're also the one receiving the money. So you're half entrepreneur, you're half a technician. And the technician is no entrepreneur and the entrepreneur is no technician. And somehow you're trying to, ride two horses with one butt, and it's really difficult. And I feel like ultimately guilt and shame are the two biggest energies that block money, and technicians don't value their own craft when it's theirs. You'll see a technician that's been in a sales job selling $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 products, and then they go to sell their own work and they can't. And that's how I felt. I just felt like I wasn't worth the price that I was telling people I was. I just felt bad about it. I felt guilty. I didn't speak confidently about money. I had money shame. I wasn't managing my money. I was in debt. I wasn't looking at, I had to learn how to put the money back into my business. I had to learn how to save my tax. I had to learn how to price myself at 10 to 15% profit margin so I could actually make a profit. And then I had to learn how to manage that in the three ways that it has to go: back to the business, to the tax man, pay myself a wage. And then I got a very strong idea that I just was not going to be sustainable. So I had to keep putting my prices up, my service up, my product up, keep feeling good about it, keep reconnecting with service. And inevitably, I got up to a $3,500 average quite quickly. And then I was like, that was me. I was doing that the whole time. I was the one getting in the way of getting people paid. I would talk too much in the sales room and just cut the sale right back and then practically give it away at the end. I had to learn how to shut up, and the next person who speaks is buying it. And that changed my world.
The next question I'm going to ask you is a logical one. You've created a series of educational tools for those specifically in your area, in the realm of photography. You do realize that your message carries way beyond just those who hold the camera lens, do you not?
Yes. And this year we launch our business vertical, which is for solopreneurs. So I understand that so many solo entrepreneurs are coming to me now and saying, can you mentor my business? I'm a graphic designer. Can you mentor my business? I'm a makeup artist. Can you mentor my business? I'm a freehand illustrator. Can you mentor my business? And I'm trying to teach or create as many products next year to teach creatives how to be in business and make money. Small business is what excites me the most now. I'm more in love, after 29 years of taking photographs, I'm more in love with the business side of my brand now than I am the photography for the first time.
I was just going there was, have you hit the threshold? Is it now that you're the business person versus the professional photographer? And is there a little bit of a hesitation and a fear of you actually calling yourself an entrepreneur and a business leader versus a photographer? Or you're now comfortable with, you were looking forward to that naming of saying, this is what I do?
Yeah. Okay. So answer me this. I feel like changing paths always feels weird. But I built my business in 2001. So I've been in solo business for 17 years. I've built that business up to what it is today. I have no business qualifications. I did not graduate from high school. I left high school when I was 15 years old. One of the biggest fears about building my garage business was, did I deserve this money? Was I allowed to receive this kind of money? And the deep shame I had around a lack of education. Then I met somebody that had an MBA from Wharton, and we spent a lot of time talking. Stanford currently have 400 business classes, and not one of them is on sales. And all of a sudden, I'm talking to all of these amazingly educated people, and they know nothing about business. They know nothing about selling, and they know nothing about valuing themselves in the way that I had to learn. So am I qualified to teach small businesses? Yes, I am. Does it feel weird saying I'm a business mentor? Not really, because I've been a photography and business mentor for the last 8 years. So it feels like a natural transition. And I cannot wait to speak to all the creatives outside of photography to see how I can help them.
I can't wait to see you more on the speaking tour. So when I'm out there and I'm speaking, I'm just going to say, yeah, that's Sue Bryce, because she's got her shit together and it doesn't matter when you need to be here. Okay.
Well,
and by the way, that's a great lesson. Look, the most successful entrepreneurs in the world, the most successful business people in the world, it was never about education. Many of them were good at making money. Many of them were good at an incredible idea and leading businesses. To your point, schooling, and there is no classes about sales, that living the life of hard knocks and knowing what you do best, that's a gift enough. Many people actually try to get certain levels of education because they're still not sure of what they want to do or where they want to go. So they feel those levels of qualification will help them. That doesn't necessarily make them better, smarter, more successful, or the ability for them to be more successful. And I think,
well, when you don't have an education, it does. It was always something that was part of me, and it was really holding me back. And when I did my first international live broadcast to thousands of people, it was a big part of my journey back then. That was in 2012. I actually told everybody on that broadcast that I had no education and that I chose to pursue my business anyway. And this is what I've learned. But I thought I'd just own it. And I had just had so many people coming up to me saying, I also do not have an education. This has been a huge thing for me. I think it's important that I say it because it was a big part of my journey for those that don't have an education.
I did ask this question to a fellow colleague of mine who's been on the program before, Phil M. Jones, who's a speaker who did not get the highest levels of education that most of his peers have. And interestingly, while he learned probably more from not having that in his sales experience and all of his skills throughout, it probably has driven him. A little bit of that level of, I need to prove myself a little bit more because I don't have this. And it's always been something that has pushed him. And I think that's true. I think that's true about anyone in any field, in any industry. I had a great conversation with a former professional hockey player who was not drafted by the regular means that you get in there. He had to work the very hard way to get into the professional level. And he became one of the top players on his team. And every single year he felt like he needed to prove harder and harder because that's almost the DNA he rewrote for himself because he needed to prove that. And maybe that's what drives us. So there is that fine line between that. So I do appreciate that. And thank you for sharing all that, by the way, Sue. This has been awesome. Okay. So now I'm going to ask the question I'm most curious about. If you've listened to the program, which I've heard you've had an inkling of here or there.
Yeah.
I always ask the guests on the program, when you're having trouble thriving, who or what practice do you seek to get yourself back on the thriving track?
I firmly believe the energy of the business comes from the owner down. I used to go to a coffee shop every day that had the best coffee in LA, and I stopped going there because they have the worst service. And every single time I would go there, every week there'd be a different person serving. So they never worked together, all the people that I met before I stopped going there. They were just always new people, and they always had the same attitude. And I realized the owner probably has that attitude because it's always in every single people that he puts in front of that store. And I was like, it's just a perfect example of that when your energy needs to be replenished and you are out of love with your business, you're overworked or overwhelmed, or you've even gotten to a place where you're just pushing yourself too hard, or you just feel disconnected. I don't believe that you're tired. I believe you're uninspired. And I need to constantly, I look at my business like an energy, just an energy force. I am the heart and soul behind that. When I'm off, my business goes off, my staff go off. When I'm connected, they're connected. So I have to remove myself, and whatever that takes to replenish, whether it's time out, time off, going to the movies, walking on the beach, taking a week, taking 2 days, just re-inspiring my path, my journey, just talking about where we're going to go, but completely reconnecting to it. When I'm off, everybody can feel it, and it shows up in your income almost instantly.
So what do you do to get yourself back on?
Yeah, I have to remove myself. I have to go back to being a creative. Although I love business, I can get too structured and then I'm just maintaining. And I just hate that energy when I'm just cookie cutting or I'm just not inspired to big ideas, and I have to walk away. And I'm a workaholic. So I walk away and I keep working. So I'm like, stop doing this, go for a walk. And I'll walk, but I'll be thinking about work, but I'll be relaxing, and I'll be by the beach and I'll be watching the water or listening to music, and I'll have more ideas. conversations that are really inspirational. I love being around people that are ideas people and thinkers, because we can just spend the hours just creating ideas, and whether they're funny or business ideas or people ideas or education ideas, people that throw back ideas instead of people that talk about people and things. I'm not interested in having shallow conversations. I want rich conversations with people that love ideas and they love creativity, and that inspires me so greatly. My team inspire me. You know, they're super amazing, but I have to keep giving back to them and making sure that I'm coming up with creative business ideas that blow them away. I want to keep everybody, like, I do feel like I'm holding up lots of plates and spinning them all at the same time, but I've got to walk away and just fall in love with it again and do what I really want to do, not what I think I should do.
Hey Thrive Loud fans, if you're enjoying how Lou is connecting with this guest in this episode, then just imagine how impactful he can be in person. As an international speaker and consultant, Lou Diamond is all about getting organizations to thrive through the power of connecting. To learn more about how you can have Lou speak at your company, your conference, or your event, head on over to loudiamond.net and click the Book Lou Diamond link to learn more. He'll truly get everyone to thrive loud. Okay, back to the show.
Before we get to all the plugs and everything, actually, maybe we'll do this. Give me all the places that people can find Sue Bryce, your photography, any of your classes, anything that's coming up, so that people can understand that. We will put everything in the show link notes, sure. But we will definitely want to hear it from you first.
Yes, my Instagram is Sue Bryce Photographer. My Facebook page is Sue Bryce Photographer. My Twitter is Sue_Bryce, and that I pretty much don't tweet, so I actually don't use my Twitter. And my Facebook and my Instagram. I have a private Facebook group for photographers that is our Facebook group it's just called Sue Bryce Education. So anybody can join that. But if they're photographers, they'll find me at SueBryceEducation.com. That's my website, my education website, and the business website. We haven't launched the brand yet. We're going to do that next month.
Okay.
And
well,
I can't tell you what
right
it
at
is
the time
yet.
that this episode's coming out. So we will, you know what we'll do is we won't say what it is, but we'll put the link on there so people know exactly where to go once you have it.
And they can always follow me on Instagram for any future announcements around the business.
So I mentioned this at the top of the show, that your Instagram page is just absolutely, it really is a work of art. And I know that's a challenge. I can imagine as you post images in the imaging business, the level of quality of what you have to decide goes up on this page has to be at such a high quality. So I totally...
Yes, but I'm not the best photographer in the world. There are much better photographers than me, and that's something that's really, really important. I'm a domestic portrait photographer. I don't photograph celebrities or models. I make everyday women look like they've just stepped off the cover of Vanity Fair. That's my goal in life. But I do photograph only everyday people. I don't do that sort of star LA celebrity thing, and I never wanted to. This was about giving that experience to women. So yes, I have a visual brand, which is really good, but I am by no means, there are thousands of talented photographers in this world, more talented than me, and some of them are in my network. But boy, can I make a business model out of this brand. So that's kind of, I guess, why I am where I am. I feel really strongly that I leveled up on all my bases.
All right, I'm going to say this, going out on a limb here and just looking at the work that you have, you're very modest. It's a wonderful, beautiful page because you've really done a great job with it. And whether it reflects the quality of your own modesty, which is so delightful to hear, obviously, and obviously probably is what it made you as such a success as you are. I think it also just shows you are constantly looking to make it better each and every day. And trust me, nobody ever wants to hear about the people like, oh, it's the best page ever, or it's the best thing in that. No, we don't like that. But I'm letting the listeners know they should check it out because she really does make really great people look amazing. I mean, regular.
Well, as a creative, that you would say that, it's kind of interesting. Like, I feel like when I started to get really bored in business as an artist, I realized I was making a lot of money. So I was completely bored and I was repeating the process. But I didn't feel creatively inspired. But then I thought, well, wait a minute, I'm making money for the first time. So I kept doing it. And then I got really bored. And then I realized you don't have to change jobs. You just create something different, a new look, a new style, a new camera, a new backdrop, a new dress for the studio. And I just started to expand it constantly. And I'm always try to be creative in your business thinking. Like, just be creative. Come up with new ideas all the time, new, fresh ways to do something. Because it's often not what you're doing, it's how you're doing it. And it'll kill you if you don't keep that creativity, just always doing something new.
Beautifully said. Sue Bryce, question for you. What is your all-time favorite movie?
Oh my gosh, you're going to laugh because it's Constantine.
I love that movie. Okay, now I don't know if I would, I don't know, me personally, I wouldn't put it in my top, but that's a great movie. Why does that movie connect so much with you?
I love light and dark. I love polarity. I love good and evil. I love the idea that you can fight for something. I love Keanu Reeves. I love how illustrative it is. I love that it was. It's a great story, by the way, if you've ever followed the comic books, John Constantine. And I just love it. I've seen it probably 65 times. Whenever I really need creative inspiration, I watch it because it just visually it frightens me a little bit, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I always love the end when the devil basically takes his. Takes the tumors out of his hand. Yeah. A little bit gross and weird, but then all of a sudden, at the end, he's about to take the cigarette. He throws it away. So it's just
because he heals them.
Yes, it's just a wonderful, wonderful idea of a movie, and in that dogma / phantasmical character, it really is a cool cartoon come to life.
Exactly right. And whenever I read, if I read fiction, I read sort of heroic fantasy. David Gemmell. I've just discovered Game of Thrones this year. I'm already at season 7.
Well, I'm all current and caught up. You see, here's a funny thing. A lot of people who've come to the show late, who are now getting into it, they're so into it, and the timing is perfect because this upcoming summer they'll come to it. Unlike those of us who were watching it and then they said, "This is awesome. You're going to have to wait 2 years until they come out."
I know.
You're like, "Are you kidding me?" Well, anyway.
No, I couldn't have waited. I don't know how you all waited, but I'm caught up now and fresh.
Sue Bryce, this has been spectacular. I'm so glad you came on the program. I think we're going to do something really cool that I think our Thrive Loud listeners will like. We'll start promoting some of those special programs that you have, and I'll share more about that in episodes to come. But thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you so much, Lou.
This has been great. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
When I was a kid, I could see things. Things humans aren't supposed to see. Things you shouldn't have to see.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Thrive Loud. Or find us on the web at thriveloud.com.